Okay, here we are. It is another week and it is another episode of Chiropractic is Sexy. I'm Dr. Paula Ruffin.
I'm Dr. Erica Peabody, and we're always happy to be here, even rain or shine, and a lot of rain this week.
A
My
lot of rain. Everybody's
goodness,
coming with all their sinuses and their
I
aches and
know.
pains.
I really love how we get so much contrast here in Michigan. Like we get really distinct seasons. So I'm not sure where everyone's listening from, but I think it's one of the things that makes this area so beautiful is we appreciate um, things due to my contractor's trying to walk in the door. How much contrast we get. And everything's like super dead. And then all of a sudden, with all this, everything comes to life and all the allergies as well. But yeah, it's amazing. I don't have allergies, so I don't really worry about it too much. But
yeah, we'll just say we appreciate it. We can call it that because I'm like, yeah, this is the time of year where
you only like summer, and that's all you like. So that's like only
exactly.
That's like
but I deal with it, and I don't
one
complain.
quarter of the year you like. Didn't we talk about this a couple of weeks ago?
We did.
We wish away all these seasons.
Fine. I'm fine until it starts getting too long in the tooth. So what that does is it creates stress. So let's talk about that. So listen, last week we wanted to bring this as a two-part series for us. And the reason it's a two-part series was because prior to last week, Dr. Eric and I create these shows based on our stories and the things we hear and things that people tell us they need. And so we've been hearing a lot that people can't afford to go to the chiropractor, or they can't afford to eat healthy, or they can't afford. And so they end up staying in this cycle of sickness because they say they can't afford to be healthy. They can't afford all these things. And so last week was part one, and we only got through about half of it, of you can afford to be healthy because we are laying out for you all the free ways to be healthy. And maybe you don't have the money to see the chiropractor. However, you need to implement the things that we're suggesting to you, anybody, whether you can afford the chiropractor or not. These are all zero to low cost things that every single person within earshot of us can be doing to better their health. And before we move on, though, let me just say, we're not asking enough. Please hit the thumbs up button. Please share this video. Make sure you're subscribing. We need to build this brand and our audience. And it's a slow grow because I think people just jump on and watch, and people watch and they're not subscribed. And so the more you like and the more you share and the more you subscribe, the more it helps us to grow. So that is the cost of being here for us. That's all we ask of you. So
that's not much. The one thing that you keep saying is people can't afford it. And sometimes can't afford chiropractic, but I think most people could afford at least coming once a month. So I just wanted to put that out there that even coming once a month is a really great way to keep ahead. I mean, of course, we want people to get deep corrective care and like start down that path, but even once a month. So just wanted to open that up a little bit. But last week we talked about the three things we talked about: walking, water, and sleep. Or movement, water, and sleep.
We talked about sun. Yeah.
Oh, sun.
Walking, water, hydration. Yeah. Walking, hydration, and sun.
I forgot about the sun.
Before we move on, can I make a comment about the coming once a month thing? Because again, if we get any pushback to say you can't, I would like to know how many times are you going into Starbucks and getting the big giant $10 coffee, sugar, cream laden coffee? How often do you do that? If you started to put a microscope on all the things that don't serve your health and you stopped doing them, and it's like they have these smoking calculators. So people who quit smoking, they put in there like the number of days that they how many cigarettes they smoked for how long, and then the calculator keeps track every single day, every month, every year, and it tells them how much of their life they're getting back. It tells them how much money they have actually saved. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that kind of an app exists for food, but I I truly believe that if you started to track the things that you spend money on that don't serve your health, and you could actually then say, oh, I could save this money. Oh, and I could go to the chiropractor once a month, because being consistent monthly is still way better than not going at all.
Absolutely. And I was thinking about, I mean, both you and I, we both have espresso machines in our homes, which, yes, it's an investment up front. Some of it was gifted. So it's, it's just a thing. But even making your own coffee rather than stopping by saves you, what is that, like five to seven-ish dollars a day? I don't even know what it is.
If
But
not
not
more.
only But not only that, it's not even just the money save, it's the chemicals that aren't entering your body. When Dr. Paula and I choose an espresso bean, it's like going to be fair trade, it's going to be organic. If we're putting any half and half in it at all, it's organic. And you don't get that quality of a product. And we should go through some time and figure out how much it is to make a latte at home. It's got to be 38 cents. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
got to be so minimal that it would save so much. And plus, you don't have to run out anywhere and get it. But the sugar laden, chemical laden, like all of that, take that off, make yourself a 50, let's just say 75 cents. Let's just on the high end. Let's just say 75 cents to make a coffee Americano at home. It's not even that much. I know it's not. Are you looking it
No.
up? Oh, I wonder if there's
No,
research.
sorry, I was sharing it off of the other pages.
Oh,
So,
I'm curious if there's research out there of how much it
let's see.
saves to make it at home, but also the quality of product. You're not building up the terrible chemicals. I mean, truly carcinogens that are in the products that are out there that are quick and easy and convenient. And so if you took that and you saved 10 to 15 days of not getting a latte, you got yourself a really, really nice adjustment in there. Actually, less than that. It depends on what you're ordering, I guess, but less than that. And it's just an awesome thing to add up. And then when we talked multiple times over and over of what assisted living care is at the end, low end 4,500 to let's just say $5,000 a month to $15,000 a month. That 5,000. Oh my gosh, you could get your entire year of care, plus maybe your spouse too, or your, family care plan for an entire year, coming once a week for chiropractic care as what you would pay for 1 month of assisted living care. So just, priorities, as Lily said, it's depends on what your number one priority is. And so
here's some data. Making a latte at home typically costs between 50 cents and $1.50 per cup. Plus, you're not getting the chemicals if you're using high quality ingredients, while a Starbucks latte costs roughly $4 to $6. So quite a significant savings. And this also then says that a single daily home brewed latte can save you over $1,600 a year, while an espresso machine, an $850 machine, which is about where Dr. Eric and I are landing, give or take, can pay for itself in just over 2 months. Because this is how often people are going out day after day. So the whole process of,
don't you think it's fun?
It is fun, yes. Yes.
And I'm not like a food prep kind of person. I mean, I make food, and I'm not nearly Dr. Paula. She definitely has a passion for food and nutrition and all of that. And although I'm passionate about health, it doesn't go to that extent. But I do love making this delicious. I make an Americano with just a little touch of cream at the end. And I actually put a little bone broth protein in it lately. I do a little bit of turmeric, like a little golden milk, but little, and cinnamon. And a touch of half and half. And it's like, I'm getting a little bit of protein. I'm getting some bone broth. So I'm getting a little bit of collagen. I'm getting all the minerals that come from the bone broth protein. I'm getting the cinnamon, which is sugar regulating, and then the turmeric, which is anti-inflammatory. And it's delicious. It's served out of a beautiful cup. And if you come over to my home, I'll also make you one. which that's what I love to do too. Like someone come and have a cup of coffee, but it's a memorable cup of coffee. And
Yeah.
it's nice to do that. I love
It's
it.
not just something instant. It is there. And there's something, you said something a very long time ago about if you can take the time to make it, your body can take it, something like that.
Yeah.
And I think we were talking about other things, you know.
We were talking about sourdough in particular and cinnamon rolls, stuff like that.
Yes. And I think though, too, when you're talking about the passion for making something like that, Lily says, Dr. Erica, I'm on my way.
I got one for you. I'll make one every morning.
And there is something about that. I think also for me, the food and the food prep and the ethnicity, you know, you come into, you know, any Middle Eastern person's home and we're going to feed you and we're going to, you know, so it is, there's something about wanting to nourish and wanting to feed people and fuel people. And that makes you feel really good. And so that alone is something that would benefit your health. You know, maybe you do a community dinner. This wasn't in the notes, but you know, Dr. Eric and I have been known to go off the rails from time to time. But you know, okay, yeah. So next stop, my place. So you go to coffee for her, and then you can come to the sourdough and the breakfast. But I had a friend of mine who was doing community dinners. She was trying to encourage people to. I think the name of her Instagram page is like, you know, back to the table or something like that. So she was encouraging families to get back to family dinner. And what she did was she rallied people in her neighborhood, and that each person would host a dinner. So all you had to do was cook one night, like the main dish, and then each person would bring like a little side dish. And she said, literally, like, we come for dinner. There's no lingering. We're going to bring the kids. Everybody gets fed. Everybody can go home with leftovers if there isn't anything. But we had a community thing with a healthy dinner, and then we all get to go home. So it takes the stress off of, I guess maybe sort of a potluck ghetto hippie where, like, if it was my turn, I would make the main course. Dr. Erica might bring a steamed broccoli or something like that. And then, but the whole point was the community aspect of it, keeping the food healthy and making sure that it's homemade and you're getting that community connection. Because that, when we talk about the centenarians, these places, the blue zones, that is the basis of longevity, is having a community of people around and eating together, dining together. That is part of longevity. So that is an easy way to do that.
Well, easy, and also creating community is another free thing. So, you know, whether you have reach out and have a phone call with a friend, we use this app called Marco Polo, which is a video app, but we have a video app there's 5 of us on this app, and we're a community. And then we do a community, like a connection point on Tuesdays. But, you know, some of that it's effort for sure, but just to call a friend, to go for a walk with a friend, to have a conversation with a friend, that community part is also another free aspect of creating health. And it's a big one. It's a really big one, community. And I don't know, did we talk about, I can't remember, sun movement?
We did talk about sun because we talked about sunscreen.
Did we talk about sleep though? Because that was the other one.
I think we need to go to sleep, because sleep was definitely one of those.
Yeah, and so community, sleep, and movement are like so high on the immune boosting, on the health regulating, on the cancer fighting, on the antioxidant producing. So all of those, I was just thinking that went right along with that, is like just the top priorities for us are free. Sleep, go to sleep.
And with sleep, putting guardrails around your sleep. Most people don't put guardrails. They don't put boundaries around their sleep. They're letting other people take off with even just your daily schedules. You're putting yourself to the side because you're constantly serving other people. There's a word, it's called no. And there's another word called yes. And there's a time for both. Do you say yes to too many other people and not yes enough to yourself? Are you Are you not saying no enough? Because if you say yes to too many things outside of what means most to you, if you're sacrificing yourself for other people, your health will suffer. And saying no is free.
Mhm.
It is free.
Yep.
And people are afraid. They're afraid to say no. But please trust me, when you put boundaries around things, Dr. Eric and I do this. We do this. Well, we're on a call. We have an every Tuesday call with some other chiropractors. And I had a patient show up at my office at 9:35, and his appointment wasn't until 10:30. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't open till 10. I'm on a call. Now I could be afraid that, oh, he's going to leave and be mad. But I said, you don't go to Kroger, and just because Kroger doesn't open the doors at 10 o'clock and you're knocking on the door at 9:30, do you get mad and leave? No, you're like, no, you wait, because they do not open that door until 10 a.m. I mean,
I know.
it's going all the way up to the end.
Yeah, we do. We have a little bit of that goes on at the office too, where it's like there's certain times and there's certain ways that we do things, because it's like I have that call, and then sometimes if I come in early and my car's here, that doesn't mean I'm ready for patients. It just means I'm here. And so, but I was thinking about boundaries with sleep, and there's a lot of things. So Ghetto Hippie says work interferes with people sleeping properly. That is true to a certain extent, but there's also a lot of people that let a lot of other things interfere with their proper sleep. And so I was thinking, so I have these two dogs, right? And I love them dearly, and man, do they interfere with sleep. And so I was moved out of my king bed into a queen bed, which is difficult with a 55-pound Bernedoodle, and then I have a little 7-pounder. But anyway, so now I'm in a bunk bed. So there's a queen and a single, but then there's a trundle underneath, another single. And I got this wild idea last night, because I have another week in this particular setup before I get my bed back. They're doing some home renovations. I had this wild idea to pull the trundle out for Lewis. It was so awesome, because he is now in his own bed. He's not on top of my covers, because his 50 pounds becomes 150 pounds when he's on top of the covers. And it was so much better sleep last night. And I was like, how do I figure out this trundle situation once I get back to my bed, which doesn't have a trundle? But I waver. You might too. I kind of waffle back and forth with the dogs, because I don't want them to be anywhere else than close. But then I'm also like, my sleep is definitely could use better boundaries around that. I don't know. What do you think about that? It's like the dogs are so good for our health, but then like that part is detrimental. I don't know. I struggle all the time. For 7 years, I've been struggling with it.
Well, Bentley, he's odd. So he's the only dog that I've ever had that didn't want to sleep in the bed right next to me. And so he sleeps at the foot of the bed, and most of the time he's on the floor, not because I trained him to. He just, I don't know, and Goldens, I've tried putting blankets and dog beds. They want to be on the hardwood. They have no desire to have a bed or be lifted.
Right? Yeah.
It's cooler. And, but then, and I had a friend of mine ask me last week, she said, doesn't it disturb you when he gets up and down? And I said, I'm so used to it that there's times when like I'll hear him move if he's on the floor, and I'm like, oh, I need him in the bed with me. And then he gets in the bed and I can just go back to sleep. So there's something very comforting about that. Now, my sister, I get sent pictures of her, and she's surrounded by 4 King Charles Cavalier Spaniels, and they're like on her head. And she could not sleep without being completely
suffocated by dogs.
Suffocated by the dogs. And then there's 2 cats too. So I think it's like really, it's variable for people. I think, while yes, it can absolutely destroy sleep for some people, where other people are like, it's their security blanket. So I feel like that's a very variable thing.
I know. It's definitely a thing because the little guy, he has a bed on the bed. So a lot of times he's there. But then if
Bed
I'm
on the
laying on
bed.
my side, then this itty bitty little dog will
He
come.
needs a
And
bed on
it's
the
like
bed.
the sweetest thing ever. It's so, and then he moves again. But as I was thinking about that, how healthy dogs are for us. And of course, no, dogs aren't free, but there is a way you could go and volunteer and hang out with dogs for free. So I was thinking about that as part of our
Oh,
health, just
sure.
because Dr. Paula and I are healed by our dogs. We really are. Like they're just a
Mhm.
really, really key part of regulating the nervous system. And I think pets are like that. In fact, one of my patients just left. She's due to have a baby next month, and she's so cute. She's like so itty bitty and looks like she has a basketball under her shirt. Like that's she's probably, I mean, normally under 100 pounds. So anyway, she had to put her hedgehog down yesterday. And then
Mm.
I know, which is so cute and sad, but she also had to put her English bulldog down maybe like 6 months ago. So she was just leaving here and she said, it feels so weird to not have an animal at home and just how healing animals are for us. So I was just thinking about that when we talk about the dogs. So
Yeah, and I think too, you could do dog walking.
mhm.
Reaching out to somebody in your neighborhood, be a dog walker or dog sitter for
Or
people.
letting dogs out for people, like so
Yeah,
simple. I mean, we need that
yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different ways to get that connection without having the responsibility of actually having the pet, and they love it. They will be super grateful, and so will their owners. So that's another really great way. And when you are petting a dog, it builds oxytocin. That's your feel good. That's your connection hormone, and what are all the studies that show about high blood pressure, and it lowers your blood pressure. But I love the hormonal aspect of it. It's super calming to your nervous system. So we all could use a little bit more of that, right?
Yeah. So yeah, going back to sleep, thinking about so Dr. Paula and I both wear the Aura ring, which is a tracking device. So looks like that, lots of different ones. But it's a tracking device without it being an Apple Watch. Like it's not doesn't have EMFs around you. It's keeping track of the days, but I think it's awesome for sleep in particular. And
I do
it's one of
too.
the reasons I bought it was I wasn't an insomniac, but I was bordering on it where it was difficult to go to sleep. It was difficult to stay asleep. It was difficult to regulate my mind, my thought processes. And maybe some of you can relate to that out there, being an entrepreneur, single woman, dog mom, single dog mom, running multiple businesses and all of that. Like sleep can be interfered with. And it just got to the point where I was like, I want something but I want it to be like without all the energy around it. And I've been able to really hack into my sleep. It's been like 5-ish years. I don't know. Whenever Aura first came out, I had their Gen 1. And I think they're on Gen 3 now, or maybe beyond that. I don't even know. But it's been awesome. And sometimes Dr. Paul and I will wake up and screenshot like, oh my gosh, like it's awesome to celebrate high readiness score, but a high sleep score in the 90s. You do a way better job at sleep than I do, but I get kind of lost a little bit in my ways, in my weeks. But yeah, it's really, really awesome to celebrate that little tiny win because it's a big win in the long run.
And it's
So,
so healing when you're getting good sleep. If you're not sleeping, you're not healing.
right.
So if you have a disrupted sleep pattern, let's just say, let's say these are $300 to $600, $1,000, depending on which textile you choose. I think I have the rose gold, so I think mine was around 500.
Yeah.
And let's just say you're like, I can't afford a ring. Okay, but
Okay.
you can go to bed at a consistent time. You can not scroll. One of my favorite things is journaling. I call it the brain dump exercise at the end of the day. Take everything in your brain and write it down from the day, all the things that you're thinking about that you need to do the next day. Get them down on paper because then you give your brain permission to turn off at night. And if for some reason you have that 2 a.m. party wake up in your brain, you might want to roll over and go ahead and jot down what's on your mind, because it's going to prevent you from falling back to sleep. So anytime you've got things weighing heavy on your brain, it's always a great idea to write it down at night. So you give your brain that permission to go to sleep, to calm down, to rest and heal. And that's a big problem for people. Most people don't sleep well. They either don't fall asleep or they don't stay asleep. So either one is a problem, but either one can be helped by doing that simple journaling exercise or taking some magnesium before you go to bed. And there's different forms of magnesium. I love glycinate, and I also love threonate for brain for nighttime. So those magnesium's inexpensive. It's another great way to help calm your nervous system, calm your brain, and allow your body to get into a healing state.
So Keto Hippie says mood rings really have changed these days, and they really have. It's really true. If you saw the app, if you haven't seen the Aura app, it gives you lots of really, really awesome information and every day, you know. But what I do want to say is I would love if everybody would drop this mantra of, I don't need that much sleep. I can go off of 5 hours. I can do this. I can do it with 4 hours of sleep. I can do 4 hours of sleep every night. And I can go on for months and years. No, you
can't.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
And that's not a badge of honor to wear anymore. What I find for myself personally, I do really well at 7.5 to 8 hours. Like that 8 hours of sleep is like so critical. And there's more gold on the front side of midnight. So when you can get to bed at 10 or 9:30, 10, 10:30, the real gold is on this side of midnight. And so, you know, so I end up waking up around 6:30. My Wednesdays is 5:30. So I kind of have it's probably part of my sleep schedule, is a little bit of an issue with different waking times during the week. But it's no longer a badge of honor because your body doesn't get to recycle itself. It doesn't get to work through the detoxifications of organs that happen every night. Like our body, it's just so wild. Like we put our head down and then we like are nowhere. And then we wake up and we get going again. That's amazing. That's
so crazy. I often wonder about that just from a prehistoric perspective. It's like, how does any animal, like, how did God let any animal sleep when it was like, you're going to get eaten. We can't be sleeping.
We can't be ever sleeping. No, I know.
So I think if you're like, if you're in the cave and you're worried about an animal coming into your cave and eating you, then maybe you could get less than 8 hours of sleep. Maybe you, at that point, you're right. You're like,
No, it's really interesting because they kind of changed their tune about neurologically about sleeping on your stomach. So it used to say we should never sleep on our stomach because our head's cocked too far one way or the other. But now they're saying they changed it. I was in a ICPA neurological, it was a neurological module for, it was like 15 hours, whatever. And they were saying that in the prehistoric times, there's no way we would have slept with our vital organs up and vulnerable to the sky. There's no way we would have done that. So it's the soft beds, it's the sheets, it's the whatever. So we do want to be really mindful of as neutral spine as possible. So if you're on your side, so if my bed's here, we want to not have a pillow that's too high or too low. We want the top arm propped up, pillow between our knees, and always look for a neutral spine. Then people say, what's the best pillow and what's the best bed? Everyone's different. Lots of different injuries. Everybody, we really are a little bit, our life experiences we're not as snowflakey as we think we are, but our life experiences create a system that is very snowflake-like. But if we're looking for neutral spine as much as possible. So anyway, just wanted to add that in there too.
Yeah, it's interesting. And sleep is free. Sleep is free. And Lily's saying, they say, I don't know. I always question myself and I'm like, who's they? But they say if you go to sleep at 10, it's equivalent to 4 hours, not 2 hours. And so there's, from a circadian rhythm perspective, if you have 8 hours of sleep, if it's 10 to 6, that is actually more refreshing and regenerative than midnight to 8. So yes, having this side of midnight, you've got to make sure it's that you're respecting your body's circadian rhythm. And most people fight through that because they want to scroll, they want to watch TV. I have a patient that I'm working with who he's got dementia. And one of the things that we worked on with him almost immediately was he would fall asleep with a light on and his TV on. And I don't know why. So we started with, okay, let's start with just turning the light off. And then, so now I have him sleeping in darkness and not having those flashing lights coming at you. He's got dementia. Like, I mean, you don't need to have dementia to understand that all that flashing light is affecting your brain and your sleep. So if you're somebody who does that, if you fall asleep with the TV on, like, just stop. You can't. If there's lights, I mean, I put a piece of black tape over the red off light on my TV because I can't take that little red light. I'm like,
no,
even though
really
I don't have curtains on my windows, that is a natural light. That's very, very different. And my body feels it very differently.
Yeah, no, it's really great. Sleep hygiene is really the technical term these days. And it's like, when you have an infant and the infant's born and then you've got this chaos of a schedule initially, but once you get them into a rhythm, so 3-ish, and I'm totally over speaking because I never have had children, but I've worked with families long enough to know, but it's like 3-ish, 4-ish months, you start to like, we do bath time at 6:30, we do this at blah, 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 and we do that at blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden they're down and it's very nice sometimes. But anyway, we need to do that as adults as well. We need to have those rhythms. So whether it be, I do my best. It doesn't always work. I try to eat before 7 o'clock at night because the stomach needs 3 hours to empty and get it further down the road. So that would be 10. I work out a lot of times after work because my body doesn't like the mornings of super intense workouts. And so, but my gym is, 20 minutes from home. So I get there by 6:30. I'm finishing up by 7:15. I'm then changing my clothes, getting on the road. And a lot of times I will stop and find a healthy option for food than trying to get all the way home, because all the way home is 8 o'clock. That's just, for me, that's too late. That pinches in, my body's then going into 11. And yes, there's absolute magic. And I heard that as well, Lily, that you get at 10 to midnight is more of the equivalent recovery of 4 hours that would be after that. So I have heard that as well. I'm curious who they are as well.
And I'm wondering if they are the same people that I'm going to quote when there was a book that I read on sleep. I was really into sleep. I'm into sleep today, but I was really into studying sleep many years ago. It fascinated me, the sleep cycles and circadian rhythms and all of that. And to your point, what you were saying earlier, how people are like, I just need 5 hours. I can survive. I don't need blah, blah. And that is actual garbage. And what they say is that there's really only 1% to 2% of people in the world who can actually thrive on less than 6 hours of sleep. And that those people, like, I'm sure, like, the presidents and leaders of the different countries, like their brains just wire very differently. And so I would probably say that those kind of like high level people probably aren't like, I need 9 hours of sleep. Like they're probably not doing that. And so everybody else who's somewhat, it's like what we talk about all the time, how people minimize their issues. And they make their issues so small because that's the way we survive through it. That's the way we can deal with, our chronic illnesses and our traumas. And if we just minimize it and if we just forget about it, I mean, we don't have to, if we minimize it, we don't really have to deal with it.
Right.
But I would say dealing with your traumas is free. It's not going to be emotionally free, but
yeah,
stop ignoring your stuff.
Yeah. Well, the other part about it is if we're not getting the right amount of sleep and we're trying to work off of 4 and 5 hours, we're burning the adrenals because your body doesn't have the energy. But if you force it to, it's going to do it. It's like if you were forced to flee from a tiger, your body's going to rev up the adrenaline so that you can escape. And that's just part of the survival mechanism. We can't run like that. We cannot run our lives like that. So if you're getting 4 to 5 hours of sleep, I bet you're also getting puffy. I bet you're getting starting to get water, fluid retention. I bet you're getting foggy brain. I bet, it's all of these things. Our adrenals they're a finite, what do I want to say? A finite organ.
Resource. Yeah.
Yeah. And they
eventually get exhausted. And you're constantly asking them to fire.
And if you're only allowed so much adrenal production for a lifetime, so let's just say there's a finite amount of adrenal production for your 85 to 95 years on the planet. If you're running them, it's like running the engine into the ground for a vehicle that you're out there running. Like if you have 200,000 miles, your car is going to be good for 200,000 miles. You could do that all up front and your car's dead early, or you could spread it out, right? And be a little bit more mindful there. Same with the adrenals. I think about that with the heart. If your heart is designated so many beats before you get here, what are you doing to make sure that you're using them wisely and that you're not overusing them? And, we could go into alcohol and cigarettes and stuff like that again. But yeah, caffeine overworks the adrenals. Absolutely. And
it's free also to stop the bad habits.
Yeah.
It's free. And again, if you're eating poor quality foods, if you're drinking sodas, if you're smoking, if you're having all of those things, and again, saying you can't afford X, then somehow you're affording things that don't serve you. Yeah. So start to say, just tell yourself, well, then maybe I can reallocate these dollars and put them into things that are going to actually help me. And, your point about overworking the adrenals just goes back to the fact that our bodies don't know the difference. Our brains don't know the difference between a deadline and running from a saber-toothed tiger. Mm-hmm. And so when you are moving along and you're relaxed on the prairie and you suddenly, the tiger jumps out from the brush and starts chasing you, that is an adrenal surge among a whole bunch of other hormonal things that take place, but designed to give you strength and energy to run to save your life. Well, we're doing that each and every minute of each and every day, and then claiming, I'm not under stress. Listen, we all are. Like Dr. Eric and I are not going to sit here and say we're not under stress. Yeah, of course. I had to be up at 5 a.m. this morning. I hate getting up early. That is stress for me. So we have to start thinking about all the things that we're making excuses for and just recognizing that they're there, and ask yourself, is this helping me or is this harming me in your daily life? Whether it's food, whether it's drinks, whether it's, movement, sleep, all of those things, whether you're saying yes or no to things that you shouldn't be, it's time to start paying attention to those things so you can afford to become healthy, because you can't afford to be sick. You cannot afford to be sick.
I know. I actually see this as a 3-part series just because it's so rich right now. And I'm thinking about a couple of other things that are free, but and sort of maybe we can wrap this up because we're at 40 minutes right now.
All right, we'll go into part 3 next week. What are you proposing for part 3?
I want to mention one more thing while we're talking so deeply about sleep, pun intended. Don't press the snooze. The snooze is 9 minutes, and that's a terrible time to try and wake back up if you did actually figure out you needed to press the snooze. So the 9 minutes you get into this weird part of the sleep cycle, it's not going to benefit you. So figure out on the front side, take those 9 minutes and put them somewhere in the front and get up when your alarm goes off, or at least wake yourself up. Don't allow yourself to go and hit snooze. I dated this guy years ago. He was a nightmare anyway, but he would hit the snooze button at 5 o'clock in the morning at least 6 times, and it would
Oh
make
my God.
oh yeah. And I'm like, for a lot of reasons, this isn't going to work, but it's really memorable because the snooze button's really not a healthy choice. Not unless you are dragging and you're only got maybe 3 hours of sleep, and maybe an extra 9 minutes would help because you were on a flight or had an emergency of some sort. But other than that, do yourself a favor. Do not press snooze.
Mm-hmm. And it's free to not.
It's free to not press snooze.
All right. Well, I think we will. I don't know. Farmer Cheryl asks if we have tried any of the products by Cell Saviors. I don't know who that is. I've not. How about you?
I haven't either. No. No, we have.
Lily says they're fulvic and humic acid. I have not. I don't use that.
I haven't either. We tend to, because we have the ability to get our hands on, physician level supplements. And I don't know that one in particular. It's like Dr. Paul and I end up sticking with the stuff that we love and that we can easily say, yes, take this, or yes, this is it. We're curated our offices to supply some of the really awesome products. So I don't know that one in particular. I don't know. But a lot of people ask us about different ones. We're like, there's a reason why we've got these.
Yeah. Oh, they had them as a guest on It's All About the Biology. Well, I'm curious. I will go. Yeah. Lily, can you send the link to which show? Because I'd love to talk to them. That'd be great.
I like the name.
Yeah, I love it. Cell Saviors. Perfect. We all need our cells saved for sure. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you being in the chat. Don't forget to hit the like, comment, subscribe on from wherever you're watching from. Help us grow, tell others, and we will see you next week. Have a great week.